This episode is brought to you by Squarespace, the all-in-one platform that makes it fast, easy to create your own professional website or online portfolio. For a free trial and 10% off your first purchase, go to squarespace.com and use the offer code GIRLS.
You're listening to the AFTERBUZZ TV Network, now the largest new media platform on the web and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Keith Johnson.
From the AFTERBUZZ Studios in Los Angeles, California, presented by Miriam and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies. This is AFTERBUZZ TV's Girls After Show. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show. It's AFTERBUZZ TV's Girls After Show.
I need a ball in my mouth.
Wow, welcome. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another fabulous Girls After Show. We're in Season 3, Episode 9, and this episode was Flow. And we're talking about all kinds of things tonight. I am your host, Kelly, and as always, I have some glammed up, wonderful, beautiful ladies with me tonight.
Hi, I'm Miriam.
And I'm Spicy Muddy. We're prepared for the Oscars tonight.
Yes, we are.
Yes. All right, this was a pretty emotional episode. We got to kind of take an inside peek into Hannah's life in this episode, which is something we really haven't done aside from the glimpse between her relationship with her and her parents.
Yes.
So I really thought this was interesting because we got to kind of see more into her mom's side of the family and kind of what they think about her dad, kind of what they think of Hannah, and what they kind of think of each other. What did you guys think about it?
It was great to see why Hannah's so bonkers. Like, we always talk about how lost she is and how, I guess self-involved she is, but it was amazing to see her aunts and her being a product of her environment because she's exactly just like them, and her cousin. I thought that was a great, behind the life of Hannah.
I thought it was really, the casting on the sisters was, and the entire family was perfect.
Amazing.
Because they honestly, seriously looked all like they could be related.
Absolutely.
And so that, I think, added to the whole flavor and the feel of making it feel real and like you were really a part of their adventure at the hospital and Grandma dying. And
Even Grandma. She looked like an old version of Hannah.
Yeah. They really did look like they could all be related.
Yeah.
It was really great. And just kind of seeing the sisters fighting and how I thought it was interesting. And, I guess a couple of years ago, my family kind of went through the same thing when my grandma had passed away. So it was this episode was very relatable to me and a little bit difficult to kind of watch, just going through the motions of what happens and the kind of things that you have to get together. And the sisters are sitting around putting Post-its on things that they want.
that's so bad. I mean, it's like the woman's not even dead yet. I mean, when my grandmother and my grandfather passed, there was no Post-its. It was like, all right, let's pack up their stuff and get ready for whatever's going to happen. Let's start preparing because we knew what was going on. But the fact that, and I guess people do the Post-it thing, but to me it was like, really? She doesn't even have a foot in the grave yet.
Right.
Like, it's just not appropriate time. And it's like, they live in different cities. What are you going to take? And they're all upset that, the one sister, Sissy, is getting the house and she wants the ring and she feels like she deserves it, but she doesn't have any family, heirloom, children to pass it down to. And so the fighting about that got really realistic as far as the divvying up of things and who's going to get what. And the fact that truly does happen when someone passes.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like, for a second, I wanted to, and the thought in my mind was, isn't there a trust? Isn't there a will? That this would already all be spelled out.
Well, I think for the big stuff it already was because they knew Sissy, since she had been there kind of taking care of her for the most part. From what I got out of the episode, she seemed to live there. She takes the closest care of her with her medicines and everything. So she's probably, along with the house, going to have to take on the responsibility of what all that entails. And I think they were kind of going through the smaller items, kind of the everyday things, like the jewelry and the keepsakes and that sort of stuff.
The vases and
pictures
on the wall.
Pictures on the wall, all that sort of thing.
That was my favorite jewelry box.
Their bickering was so realistic, though.
Yes.
It literally sounded like my aunt's, but just in English. So, but that's exactly how sisters fight with each other. And when it gets that sentimental time, everything that didn't have value before, now has value. Mom used to drink out of this mug. We want the family ring. And when I was thinking about that, I was like, gosh, what would I want of my mom's? Oh no, I'm definitely getting her jewelry. Like, I started to think about that because it all holds sentimental value.
Yeah.
But I thought it was funny that they were fighting over who would get the ring based on who's going to be married first. And we never really discussed whether Hannah and Adam were ever going to be married. So this is the first time that marriage was brought up on the episode.
Yes, which makes it really interesting. And I really have to say that I really loved the way this episode was written in that regard. Because when you're at that age, or really if you're not one of the girls that kind of grows up with the kind of like ideal of all you want to do is kind of get married, have kids, and that's really part of your life. Not all you want to do, but that's part of your path, which is not part of Hannah's. When it finally gets thrown at you and you think about it, you go through a bunch of different emotions kind of like all at once, I think, because it's not something that you'd always thought about. And when you start to think about it, and you'd think it's not really a big deal, but just the way we saw Hannah react to it. First, her mom asks her to lie to her grandma about it, to kind of let her have peace before she dies, to know that one of her grandkids is going to, get married and have this particular life. And she, talks it over with Adam, and they go through it, and then she gets upset, and she doesn't even understand why she's upset. And I thought that was so great, because I feel like that's such a realistic way to kind of go through it. When you think about it, you don't really know if it matters. All of a sudden, it matters all at once, and then you're mad. And I thought that was really funny.
And it's the fact that for some messed up reason, we are brought up in a society where that's normal to go down the traditional 50s, find a guy, have your career, have, get married, have a little white picket fence, and have babies. That's what society kind of makes us feel like we need to do. But girls like Hannah, and I can relate to this, not in a rush, not really thinking about it, very focused on career. If it happens, great, but not really on the forefront of the list of things that are important. And so for her to, and it's the dreaded conversation. I know I've had to have that conversation with like an ex in the past, or a couple of them actually, where it's like, okay, well, where do you want this to go? And it's like, well, if we're dating for 5 years, I'm hoping in that direction. But if it's just casual and like whatever, it's not a priority. And even for a long period of time, it's not a priority. And so for him and her to have this conversation, you could feel the awkwardness and the of course she's like, well, I figured we were going down that road. They live together. They've been together now for quite some time. And now it's like, whoa, that becomes a focus. And it's like, well, neither one of them, I think, were prepared to deal with that conversation. And that's why that conversation, if it wasn't for Hannah's mother bringing it up, it wouldn't have been had.
Right.
No, and I like the way that she handled it, actually, and I like the way that he did as well, because he said, I don't know, I'm truly committed to you 100% at this point, and just kind of the way that he said it. And then I like the way that she was starting to get upset. She didn't want to fly off the handle, so she just tells him, I'm getting upset, I'm starting to get mad for reasons I can't understand, I've got to go. Well, and I appreciated that.
Yeah. I think that in that situation, I don't think that, no woman wants to pressure someone to marry them or put the pressure on, like, hey, we need to start thinking about this and get responsible and serious now. And Hannah's already not a serious, responsible person, and neither is Adam. So now they're talking about a serious issue that otherwise wouldn't be discussed, like you guys said. But I think every woman wants the option or the person to at least want to marry them. And when you think that option is taken away, now you're infuriated because you got to at least want to marry me, and that be the potential of it being there. And
Absolutely.
How long do you continue having sex and boyfriends until you decide, what, one of you guys has to be the one? Because potentially or eventually you're supposed to be dating to finally find your husband. That's the point of dating all these people, is because you're figuring out what you want long term.
Right.
You're weeding out the crazy.
Yeah. Well, do you feel like it's one of those cases where when somebody takes it off the table, then all of a sudden that's all you think about and that's all you want?
Of course. I think what happens is we want what we can't have. And it's like me personally, I'm nor here nor there. If it happens, awesome. But tell me I can't have it.
That's all you're gonna.
It's all I think. I'm like, all right, so.
So when are we getting married?
Yeah.
So when are we getting married?
But you know what? But I'm the person that's like I've said to an ex in the past, I'm like, I never brought that up. That was never my intention. And until I do, there's no reason to sweat it. I think for Hannah, she was definitely having that moment where, yes, it was taken off the table, and she's like, whoa, I don't know how I feel about that. We're now spending all this time together. We're shacking up. We are, living. I mean, they're so happy as a couple. I'm in love with them
as a couple. I like how they seem to complement each other pretty well. And it's really interesting how the way that these episodes, the last few episodes, people are trying to kind of pull them apart and plant things in Hannah's head about Adam. It was last episode before that, and kind of just like all of these things, more so in the last episode, and now her mom tonight. Just pointing out, and I didn't, that conversation that her mom, had with her, I didn't necessarily, I think she was just basically telling her to keep her options open because of her relationship with Hannah's dad. Because you remember the fights between the sisters? Yeah. And they were talking about how odd that Hannah's dad was.
But he was also a catch. Back in the day when they hooked up, he was the catch. He just, had was it the brain of a poodle or something like that?
Or the personality or something?
Of a toy poodle or something. And it's like, she doesn't want her to repeat the same mistakes that she possibly may have made. But I think that in the case with Hannah and Adam, and it's really unfortunate because this is what happens. People start getting... you give too much people information, they start giving you unwanted opinions. And it's like, you know what, you don't know my situation. You don't even know if I even want that. And so what is it any of your business?
Right.
And so for all of these people to start chiming in on something they have no idea about, it starts, it's playing in Hannah's mind at this point. And now that the marriage conversation is on the table and he's like any normal guy would be scared, she's freaking out because it's like, here's yet another thing that somebody's put in front of me that I didn't even think about.
But as a mother, and my mom does this all the time, no matter who I'm dating, they're going to form an impression. And so, and based off of what the boyfriend is giving the mom, she's going to use discernment and forewarn her daughter, because every mom has been through a bad relationship or somebody she's regretted being with or marrying. Obviously, the other aunt didn't have a successful marriage. And so sometimes it becomes a repetitive, pattern in your family with the choices that you make. So I think her mom was doing it more protecting out of wisdom. I don't think it was to hurt Hannah, but as a parent, you have to speak up or you're not parenting. And although it's none of the mom's business per se, when you love your child, it becomes your business.
And I don't think that she did it in a very malicious way at all. I think she was just making a point, just saying, he's a great guy, but I don't want you to spend your life socializing him and making the world a nicer place for him.
Right.
That's a lot. It takes a lot of energy and a lot of time if he's not going to give a little and help with that too.
Absolutely.
Which totally makes sense.
But haven't we seen Adam socializing lately? I mean, he starts helping the friends. He's been getting more involved. Now he's a part of a huge production. All those require social skills. He's making a new friend that he's bringing over to the girls.
We're definitely watching him grow.
Yeah,
which
I
is
feel
something
like he's progressing.
Yes, which is something that the mom's not seeing, which is what Hannah was basically like, you're talking about something that you don't know.
Right.
And she got closed off and defensive. And I get it.
would over their man.
Right, exactly.
I will say this on her mom's defense. Mothers always have an intuition about stuff like that.
Boom.
And so she just has, we could be blissfully happy and so excited and in love and kissy face and the world is freaking perfect. Is it? Is it really? Not really. And so mom knowing who we are as individuals and then seeing the guy that comes into our life, they know if we deserve better than that. And they'll be, for her to say it to her, though, I'm like, my mother wouldn't say it to me.
My mom
she knows I do
would.
the opposite. She told me after.
My mom has done it. Yeah. And that guy's not here anymore.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Like, I'm a rebellious person. So my mom, in my situation, she knew that my ex-fiance wasn't right for me. She knew that if she said that to me, that I would go run off and get married. So you have to be gentle. And that's the thing that makes me concerned with someone like Hannah, who's she's definitely dependent on her parents, but could she be the rebellious type, and say, well, you know what, you don't know Adam, and then go and run off with him, and then learn the hard way.
I don't see her doing that.
I don't see her doing that either. And I don't think that the mother was necessarily telling her not to stay with him. I think she was just giving her a different way to look at it, and
really
just kind of just take a look at your life.
There's always better.
Just take a look and make sure. It's that whole grass is greener syndrome. Right. But at the same time, take a look at your situation, because people do grow, and they're at an age where they do grow, they mature, and things will change because they're still relatively young. So he can kind of come into his own at some point. And it is taking him a lot longer. And I think that, pointing that out and just saying kind of look around, keep your eyes open, and look at what you're doing isn't necessarily like that's not the right person for you.
No, it's not so much the grass is greener on the opposite side, because the way that I always look at that phrase, the grass may be greener on the opposite side, but somebody still has to mow it and water it. Mm-hmm. It's more the world is your oyster, pick your pearl. And there are going to be bigger pearls and better pearls and bigger and shinier, something that's going to be just right for you. This is kind of a dingy pearl.
But again, I feel like it's kind of the same thing,
It's a dingy pearl.
Let's not forget, nobody's throwing themselves at Hannah. So keep your options open. It's Hannah,
the
okay?
cutie patootie at the office, at GQ office. That she's
He
making
doesn't like
friends
her.
with.
He likes the other girl.
He likes the black girl with
Karen.
the braids.
Yeah,
or
he likes Karen.
Yeah, like, no. I'm sorry. Hannah... she doesn't need to be grateful for Adam, but she needs to be grateful that she's one of the fortunate ones, one of the millions of billions of people that found love. Mm-hmm. And so appreciate the moment. If it comes to the point where Adam starts to mistreat her and the relationship's not going anywhere, then she should start to consider keeping her options open. But they're doing great right now.
But also, she doesn't need to babysit him, and she doesn't need to be the mom to him. And I think that's kind of the point that her mother was making, that he has all these frivolous jobs. He doesn't have anything steady. Mm-hmm. Now we're starting to see. We'll see what happens with his acting career. But this is one of the many things he was trying to do. And I think that's her point, is that he's not a stable influence in your life. Okay. And I think that's kind of like where she was going with that.
Ironically, he's the one that takes care of Hannah.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I was just about to say.
I'm not.
I get it. Career-wise, Adam isn't necessarily on the right track for that. In that area. And Hannah just got on the right track. And I do think that your man should be the leader in the relationship as far as the provider's concerned. But emotionally and mentally and intellectually, Adam is there. And he actually makes Hannah more accountable and a deeper person, because she's not deep at all. And so he brings that out of her, like the internal part, the spiritual part, all the stuff that she's missing as a human, he brings that out of her.
Well, I think this is how, at least right now, I think this is how they're kind of like balancing each other, because he's bringing that to her and she's helping him stabilize as far as like finding something steady, believing in him that he can do these things that he wants. She's very encouraging to him, which I really like. Even when she, was afraid that he was going to run off and, do whatever he does on Broadway after that interview, but she talked to him about it.
I was proud of her.
I was too. And she's, she's very open, and she's, makes it a point to say, I'm very proud of what you're doing. I don't want you not to do it, but this is just what my fears are. And I feel like that's great. And that's kind of how I think that it's working for them right now.
That was the communication too, right?
Right.
They do have a stellar communication, and we saw that before the dinner party, and then how he interacted with her friends, and the communication after, and how he doesn't want to be part of that. So their communication has definitely, it's better than most people I know.
They're very honest.
It's way better than most people I know.
Way better than a lot of old married couples. Their communication's way better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think they're fearless with each other. There's not really a discomfort or a what is he going to think.
Well, they've already been at their, they've already seen each other kind of like at the lowest. So what's,
because they're not thinking marriage, they have nothing to lose by being honest with one another.
Right. They're transparent.
They're not thinking long term. Yeah. It's like, okay, I feel like this, and that's just that deal. Mm-hmm. When your head's in the trying to go down that traditional path that everyone feels we should be going down, you start to not have a good communication.
But also, they also went through all that psycho stuff when, like, she was chasing him, and then he was chasing her, and then she called the police, and then she went nuts on her oath. They've already been through a lot
it can't get
of
any more embarrassing.
Exactly. It's like, okay, now we've just got, like, this is what it is. And I think kind of, like, after you go through, like, all of that mess, it makes it easier to just kind of cut the crap and just communicate.
Like, you saw she wasn't even embarrassed for the way that her aunts were acting in front of him. The mom was more embarrassed, than she was. She kind of was just like, oh, hey, this is my boyfriend. Like,
which I think in itself is great. He didn't seem to be uncomfortable. He stood there and was like, it's cool. It's like enchilada night at my house.
Right.
That was hilarious. Absolutely hilarious. And then, he has to pee. So what does he do walking into the isolation room? I'm like,
I hope they had a bathroom in there.
I hope so too. I'm sure they did.
I'm sure they
isolated
did
from the entire hospital.
Or he peed in a cup. It is a hospital.
And it is Adam. It is Adam.
Yeah.
So this episode is brought to you by Squarespace, the all-in-one platform that makes it fast, easy to create your own professional website or online portfolio. For a free trial and 10% off of your first purchase, go to squarespace.com and use the promotional code GIRLS. It's a really great place if you want to create your website. They have 24/7 support where you can, call. Like, I know me, I work in the middle of the night. I mean, I think Friday night I work till 4:30 in the morning, and I decided to start playing on my website and editing, and it's just as easy because if I have a problem, I can call and somebody's there, and that's really great. And they have all different types of things that you can use on the website. It's easy to use. You can drag things down. I wish they had this 10 years ago when I was trying to start my website. Because like I've said before, I've actually offered to pay like $5,000, $6,000 to have it done. And I was like, no, that's just craziness.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So this makes it so much easier for you to use. They have really cool designs that you can work on and responsive designs as well. You can connect all of your different accounts, your Instagram, your Twitter, your LinkedIn, your Google Plus, your how many media social outlets?
I know, there's tons.
You can smash them all into one, and that makes it, this website, creating your website on squarespace.com makes that easy for you. It also has a commerce platform, which is really great, where if you're like me, where I sell my autograph, I can easily just set up shop there and, have a
nice.
whole exchange there. So that's really cool. All of this only takes a few minutes to do. And the cool part is it's only $8 a month. If you sign up for a year, you get your domain name for free. And I mean, it just doesn't get any better than that. So.
Do they do? You said already that they have hosting and web support and like all of that. So it's
24/7.
like one-stop shop.
24/7. You can just do everything, and everything's easy to upload too. It's
Nice.
Yeah, I'm digging it right now. I've been playing a lot.
They're
so.
open 24/7
Thank you.
to take your calls.
Absolutely.
Oh, I'm gonna call them when I get lonely. So what are you guys doing over there?
Tell me about this Squarespace. Walk me through it, with, one step at a time. And be like, okay, it's easy. And you're like, oh, okay, so what's your name, John?
Right. How was your weekend?
But anyway, you guys are awesome. Go to squarespace.com, use a promotional code GIRLS, and start your website or your online portfolio there.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Rebecca.
Cousin.
Let's talk about Rebecca.
Strange.
Rebecca reminded me of a harsher Hannah.
A serious Hannah. A Hannah that is career oriented, but still Hannah nonetheless. Self-absorbed and kind of like in La La Land, but career oriented.
A more like an angrier Hannah.
Bitter. Yeah, she's
Definitely bitter and angry. And we've, come to find out that Hannah spilled the beans when she was 7 about Rebecca's father going to prison for insider trading.
And that's why she's bitter. As somebody who has daddy issues, when you are fatherless, then it creates a wall. You start to have a little bit of resentment.
Yeah.
And Hannah does have a father, and so her insensitivity to her cousin, and that's supposed to be your family member who you're supposed to love and protect,
Right.
and you're the older cousin. You just crush somebody's, her heart. And so she's holding on to that.
Right.
And not to mention, Hannah's a brat too. So she
And the
probably
way-
did a lot of stuff as a child.
But the way that she dismisses it and she tells her, come on, he was an insider trader, he wasn't human trafficking. Like, get over it. But that again goes back to Hannah's just real insensitivity. Like she just doesn't get it.
Yeah.
And we see that play out a lot throughout the episode because even when she's with her mother in the hospital room with their grandma and her aunt tells her, go get your mother something to eat, and she's like, oh, can't you just eat something off this tray? Like she just
Doesn't think.
just doesn't think about
No.
other people like that. She just doesn't. And we kind of see that play out with Rebecca. And kind of the way that she handled Rebecca's rudeness, though, I felt was pretty interesting.
Yeah.
She was, just like, do you like me? Do you really want to hang out with me? Because it doesn't feel like you do.
Well, I mean, she goes and she starts associating one of her ex-boyfriends with every personality trait that Hannah has. And he just so happens to be a writer as well. So when she starts running down that list, I think Hannah at that point, she's like, you're talking about me.
Right.
Like, what are you doing? Why do you want to hang out with me? Why do you want to go to a bar? And why aren't you drinking? Well, this is the kind of place I thought you'd like to go to. Like someone like you goes to. What's someone like me? What are you talking about? And so to see that interaction with them was just... Oh, it's classic.
I mean, there was a little rivalry there too, and I think that her nitpickiness. I don't know if she really had these ex-boyfriends and the current boyfriend that she's dealing with, or those were just her excuses to try to belittle.
Boyfriend that only wants to date her on Wednesdays.
Yeah, I don't know if that was like
another girlfriend.
belittle Hannah. I don't know what was going on with that, and if she might have relationship issues because she does have daddy issues,
right?
And so that could be attributed to that and a self-esteem issue. But just the fact that she was free to tell Hannah that Grandma said that she was loose, and Hannah was like, "Well, what did she say? Grandma said you were not funny or something like that." They were rivaling each other.
Yeah, it was definitely a competition.
Yeah. Kind of like what the sisters were doing, her aunts.
Yeah, they have a very similar relationship as their parent or their mothers do.
But I like how Hannah was like, I wish that we could be normal cousins. We're like, we, spend, the summer together and sleep in the same bed and, jump in the lake together. But
Get molested by the same person. But we didn't.
But we're not that kind of family.
But then she randomly brings up the fact that Hannah made her touch herself when they were 7.
Right.
I'm not gonna say that is very common. I hear that's very common that little kids act out and make you and do things that they saw on TV or that they have seen. But Hannah had no recollection of that, and so that was another thing. Is the cousin making that up? Did Rebecca just make that up to make Hannah feel uncomfortable, or was that really
somebody
true?
else do that with her and she's just attributing to Hannah?
Or
sometimes
Hannah
just
choosing not to remember something.
or maybe
like
Hannah
that.
just doesn't remember.
Because I can see Hannah actually doing that.
Probably.
She takes gaps with her friends.
Right. Exactly.
But the thing is, the interesting part was after the sisters fight and Adam goes into the isolation room to pee, Hannah reaches over close to her chachi and holds her hand.
I thought she was going to say something to her about that too.
So it's like she possibly could be making it up or imagining it. This is a little girl that has a lot of daddy issues, and
yeah, maybe anything's absolutely possible.
It's 50-50
for sure.
because if that was something that you were so concerned with, you would have been like, no, I'm good. But she held her hand, and they were there to console each other after getting into that.
Yeah, well, it's
car
not like
accident.
Hannah was touching her; she was just telling her to touch herself.
Oh my god, and that was the funniest scene in the entire planet.
I'm not dismissing that at all. I'm not. I'm just...
of course. But no, it was the funniest thing to see because she was like texting, and she's like, my chachis are all over you.
Yeah, my chachi hands.
And she's like going and petting on her.
Texting and driving by the soon-to-be doctor.
Oh my god, I personally, for me, as I'm watching her do that, I'm like, look up at the road.
Neither one of them are looking at the road.
We knew that was going to happen, though. We totally knew that was going to happen.
And I like how Adam comes running in and just kind of the way that he was worried. And he looks, she has one little cut on her forehead, and he's like, you don't just text car wreck.
He genuinely cares for her.
Yeah, he really does. He really does. I think they've come a long, long way.
Yeah.
And as much as she didn't want to hear the criticism from her mom, I mean, I get what her mom is saying.
Yeah.
But then again, we are seeing his character grow, and both of them actually. So maybe.
But will it be enough? That's the question.
See. Yeah.
Will it be enough?
Yeah, I mean, as we see from the previews, they're already starting to have issues in the bedroom.
Who wants to deal with it? I'm like, who's going to deal with Hannah?
You know what?
What real man is going to date Hannah?
Hello, the older guy.
The doctor?
The doctor, the episode with the doctor that nobody liked, which I loved.
I love that one
episode.
too, but where is he now? He went back to reality.
There's New York. They're in New York
She
City.
left him, okay?
Anything's possible. Anything is possible. In a city, especially like
Only
New York,
a person with
anything's possible.
issues who is just like Hannah would deal with Hannah.
Not really. I don't think so. I think that once she starts growing, and we see that she's growing, there's a possibility, like Shoshana and Adam, and Ray, you grow apart,
You do. Some people are there to kind of help you on your way, and some people are there for the long haul. And we'll see which one Adam turns out to be.
Her new job and newfound paycheck, she's now starting to match.
Yeah,
her clothing is starting to make sense.
I thought it was cool that this time on the girls episode, we didn't see any of her girlfriends. We saw only girls as family members.
Yes.
It was all family members, no
and
friends.
Adam.
Yeah, and Adam. But he was, the one, male in the episode. But I just thought that was pretty cool. None of the girlfriends were on this episode.
No, and we kind of saw the interaction kind of like the girls do with the mom and sisters, which was, kind of, it was
an older version of themselves.
And it was nice to see that kind of digging in to her family life and just kind of showing where she comes from, like you had said before, and kind of why she is the way she is. I mean, look at what she's been around.
Yeah.
They all fight with each other. They're all rude and mean to each other. Like, no wonder she doesn't get it. I don't see any compassion from any of them.
No.
Even the grandmother was like, "You don't look good." And
God.
you know, I mean, don't get me wrong. My grandma was a feisty one too. She used to, you know, talk smack with the best of them. But you know, she had, you know, everybody has their moments, and Hannah genuinely loved her, so it didn't even bother her. But those little snide remarks and all that, they happen so often she doesn't even notice.
She's numb to it.
Yeah, I can
Yeah.
see that there's where her insensitivity comes from, and lack of awareness for
Yeah.
people's, you know, feelings. But I have to say, I loved the marriage pep talk Grandma gave.
Yes,
Oh.
yes, that was good.
was just classic. It was like, you know what? One day you're going to hate each other. You're going to wish he dies an absolutely, was it painful?
Like a
death?
vile
Yeah,
death
vile
possible.
death. And then it will pass.
But you do go through those moments in
Absolutely.
relationships,
Yeah.
even with, you know, your boyfriend before he's even your husband. It's like, why did I choose you? You're the worst person on earth. And then the next day you're like, la la la.
Everybody's
No,
in love
that's just a
again.
natural progression of relationships. One day things
Absolutely.
are amazing, others are like, all right, dude, you're getting on my nerves.
I mean, and that's how you know you're really starting to get to know someone.
Yeah.
Is when they can annoy the crap out of you, because that you're just really starting to get to know every aspect of that. You know, and I think it
Everything
goes like,
stops being cute. It's not so cute
yes,
anymore.
exactly. And I think it kind of goes both ways, and then you kind of get over that because you know people
Yeah.
say it takes it takes like, however long before you really start being yourself.
Absolutely.
In a relationship, like everybody's putting up a front for like the first year or two, and after I've always heard that after 2 years, that's when you know
They
if
say
you're
it's a
going
year
to
and
stick
a
it
half.
out. Yeah,
They
that's
say it's a year
when
and
you
a half.
know.
Then it's a long time of pretending.
That's when
Gosh.
you
Seriously,
start
then
coming
why-
out of the shell.
I don't know if
Why we
I would
gotta
be able to fake
pretend?
it that long.
Why we gotta pretend?
I know. I mean, I think it gets shorter and shorter the older that you get. Hopefully,
Yes,
but
it does. It does. You're
Yeah.
like, listen, I don't have time for
I hope in a
games.
few
I'm
months
busy."
I could figure it out. Like either you're
One
douche or you're
one
not.
would think, right? It's like either you're in or you're out. Figure it out.
You just got to take your horse blinders off and be like, okay, I really need to see who you are. Look for the red flags.
Right. That's why you shouldn't.
Say it.
what?
That's why you shouldn't what?
I almost said that's why you shouldn't jump into the sack that soon because it clouds your judgment. Your body releases toxins. Like it makes you, you know, automatically like someone. As women, we release a chemical, and it automatically makes you care more about someone, and you don't even know why, but it's attributed to that chemical.
The older
And
you get,
so
that changes.
I mean, but going back to Hannah and Adam, like, look at that. That's all their relationship was in the beginning.
Right.
It was just a physical relationship, and she was all
Head
about
over
him.
heels, yeah.
Then all of a sudden, he's like, okay, is this what you want? And she thinks she wants a boyfriend, and then she can't stand him.
Yeah.
She wants nothing to do with him. And I think they've kind of, in a smaller way, kind of gone through that already.
Yes.
And now they're back at the point where the I hate you has got kind of, they've overcome
they
that.
have real love now. I believe they're
Yeah,
love. I definitely
absolutely.
believe it.
They're so
Absolutely.
sweet and cute.
I know.
I'm really proud of Adam for taking this Broadway role very seriously because this is the first time we've ever seen him work. And so,
True.
although I personally would not date an actor,
And everybody's telling her the same.
right?
So we'll, you
Hannah
know.
believes in him, so I don't
mean,
know
we'll
where
see
his
how that
career is going to
goes.
go.
And anything's possible. It can survive. But I'm with you on that.
Yeah.
Unless he's already, you know, self-made. It's a difficult thing to deal with.
Yeah,
but he's definitely
definitely.
making it happen, and we can see his dedication in this episode, where he doesn't want to go with her to see her grandmother because he's prioritizing, which is nice. And then of course he flies to go see her, and he goes back to the
Yeah.
city because he has rehearsal in the morning. So I like that he has his priorities in order, and that's the difference between dating like a actor and like an actor.
Right.
Someone that takes their craft seriously, and he's taking it seriously despite the fact that we don't think of him as a very serious person about life
Right.
things that aren't
And,
emotional.
he was there, and he actually was the one that told Hannah's grandma that they were getting married and that they were excited about it. And it was a little awkward, but it was cute.
Yeah.
And, he talks to Hannah's mom, and it's just, he's stepping up, and he was there for her the way that he needed to be. He spent a good amount of time there. He met everyone. He talked to everyone, and
he even jumped on the marriage bandwagon.
yes, he did.
They set us up though, because I definitely thought that Grandma pulled through. I was thinking like, okay,
Yeah.
she's not, surprise, shocker, she's not going to die. And then surprise shocker, she dies.
And that's usually, unfortunately, the way that it happens. That, you know, it has a really bad turn, and then all of a sudden it's a good turn, and then it's done. I mean, that's kind of...
Gosh, you guys are scaring me. I need to call my grandma.
That's kind of... Anybody that's a Grey's Anatomy fan knows. Just look at what happened to Mark. It's the same
Very
thing.
true.
You know, they have the good, and then it's just done. And that's kind of the way that it happened, you know, with my grandma, too. It was like we thought she was turning a corner, and then it just wasn't. So it's sad, and we're, you know, maybe we'll see how much this is going to affect Hannah, you know, if it does, because, you know, she had the death of her boss, and now here's one that's a lot closer to home.
Right.
Yeah,
So we're going to see some emotion.
So how is she going to deal
and
with
we saw
that?
a little bit of affection this episode. She put her hands on people several times, on her mom for comfort, and then her cousin for comfort as well. You see her, you know, rubbing the arm, and then her grandma. So we see, you know, Hannah's starting to be more affectionate with somebody other than Adam for the first time.
Yeah, that's very good that you pointed that out, because that is something we haven't seen in a while, where she's at least trying to show
Connecting.
that she cares, and that it does, you know, matter, that they matter to her.
Yeah.
Which is a good thing.
But the previews didn't show that she was affected by her grandmother's death.
No, the previews show that she's worried about her sex life with Adam.
Right.
So we'll
I'm
see
not
if
really
they're just
sure
going to
she's
kind of skate
tripping.
over this, or what, you know, what's going to happen. I don't know.
I mean, I don't see them having an episode where you're at a funeral for the grandmother. It's kind of like she's seen her. She went through the broken femur, the ammonia, the 2 cheese sandwiches, and then bam, a heart attack. So, you know, it's like, okay, once again, I mean, we only have, 3 episodes
We have 3 episodes left. Yeah.
Left, thank you. I'm like, can I speak today? But it's the next episodes are, you know, all right, life moves on. And we're going to see, I think, a lot of what life is going to bring Hannah just based on those previews.
Right.
And
you know, and the other girls as well. So, well, let's get
Absolutely.
into some news and gossip. We have some news, right?
AfterBuzz TV News.
So
yeah.
super exciting. This week it was announced that Adam Driver is actually up for the role of Darth Vader. They haven't said that he's committed to it yet, but in Star Wars, which is pretty awesome.
The new Star Wars remake.
Wow, Darth Vader.
Yeah.
Oh, that's going to be kind of like creepy to
It's
see
going to
him
be
in
fun
that
to
role.
see him as a villain.
Absolutely. He's totally dark, so he's perfect for the role. So fingers crossed that he gets it. The movie's supposed to release in December of 2015. And also, Allison Williams got engaged to her boyfriend of 3 years.
Yeah, so congratulations
So,
to
you know
Marnie.
what? The fact that she can't hold a relationship on the show, she can in real life. And that is a blessing and wonderful. So congratulations to Allison Williams on your engagement. We wish you well. And yeah, that's it.
Awesome. All right, well, let's get into some predictions for next week.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
Who's going first?
My predictions, I think that Hannah is going to start taking some spicy tips and trying to make her relationship and sex life in the bedroom with Adam pop, because she's going to be intimidated, I think, by his acting role on Broadway and thinking that other women are going to be throwing themselves at him. So I think she's going to attribute it to that. Not really sure what's going to go on with the other girls, though.
Okay. All right.
All right, I think with Hannah and Adam, I think just seeing her and Elijah sitting in bed, you know, with do-rags on their heads, eating pints of ice cream, I honestly think that she's going to start with all of these planted seeds that have been coming along throughout the episodes. She's going to start reevaluating her relationship. And yes, there's going to be an attempt to spice it up, but will it work? And will it be enough? I don't know. I don't know, because, you know, like I said, they're young love. They can easily still grow apart. She still has so much she wants to accomplish, and he's doesn't really have goals like that, which is why the marriage conversation couldn't really be put on the table. It's like a guy doesn't want to necessarily have that conversation unless he knows that he can fully provide for you. And most of my guy friends have confirmed that. So if they can't feel like they can take care of you, that's not going to be on the table at all.
Right.
So
Especially if he's barely taking care of himself.
yeah,
right?
I mean, Grandma's been paying his rent up until now, $800 a month. It's not enough for that apartment. But her paycheck is how much her apartment is, and she's going to be coming into a lot of money, and that can play a role on the relationship. You know, like, here I am bringing in all the money. What are you bringing in? Yeah, and that can become a conflict. So we'll see. As far as Shoshana and Jessa, we see that, you know, they go to dinner with somebody actually put on the YouTube comments what his name was.
Well, Jess is already going down like the bad hill we see. She's back to her
she's
old ways,
partying.
and she's hanging out with her rehab buddy, and it's just not okay.
But I think there's going to be a lot of conflict now that they're bringing his daughter into the picture. And so that'll be interesting to see what evolves with that. Now, as far as Marnie's concerned, you know, we see her finally going and asking for possibly this job. I hope she gets it. I hope this brings her back to her A game. And
Well, I wonder if she's going, because, it's going to be an assistant for her friend that decided to open up a gallery,
Right.
which is going to be, in itself is a big ego hit to her.
they're not even friends.
So it's like an acquaintance of
Yeah.
her. So I wonder if she's going to be big enough or be able to swallow her pride and take it.
And
'Cause
she better. She doesn't have a choice.
Yeah,
right.
no, honey,
Yeah.
you don't have a choice. You do what you love and you take what you can get and
Right.
you deal with it later. Take it as a stepping stone, a learning opportunity, and grow from it. And then be smart enough to start your own thing.
Exactly.
This girl did. She was working for Booth Jonathan. She now has a name of her own as a result of being connected to him. This could really help her career. So I hope that she takes advantage of that.
I hope she does too. I agree with you both. I hope. Well, we'll see. Thank you guys, as always, for hanging out with us. We will see you next week. Make sure to please go to iTunes, rate and comment the podcast, download it. It's free. And also on YouTube, we love to hear what you guys think. And make sure to always follow us here at AfterBuzz TV on all the social media channels. And you can follow me at Kellie with an IE 079.
You can follow me on Twitter, Miriam L. Gonzalez, and all my other stuff is connected there, so follow the trail.
You guys can play with my Twitter or stroke my Instagram day or night at spicy_Mari, SPICY_MARI.
You just know how to make a girl blush.
3 episodes left. We'll see you guys next week.
Yes.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.
Thank you for watching AfterBuzz TV on YouTube. For more of your favorite after shows and interviews, subscribe to our channel here, and be sure to share your opinion on the episode in the comment section below here. We'd love to see what you guys are buzzing about. Thanks again. Buzz you later.